What's up, what's up, what's up? It's your man ChazzEllis once again. And some of y'all haven't heard from me in a while. I've been doing a lot of stuff, but a lot of it really has had to do with the fact that my pops just died. Now, for some of y'all who have been watching my channel for a long time and kind of know me, you know that my dad has been an inspiration for a lot of the videos that I've done, and just a lot of the advice that I pass on to other people has come from things that my dad taught me along the way. Some of it comes from things that I've gone through myself and things that I learned from different people, but a lot of the core is really from things that my dad taught me. Um, he was really the biggest influence in my life. I have other family members, of course, they've done stuff too, but my pops was like the biggest influence in my life, just on a day-to-day basis. As far as just things I try to do and things I try to accomplish, and the type of person I try to be, he really influenced a lot of that. Just being himself, but. As I was doing this, because just for some of y'all who didn't know, my dad's been going through dementia for quite a while. He was going through dementia and ended up, just passing away basically from that. And that was a struggle, because when you have a family member or a parent or somebody that you really care about that's going through dementia, it's kind of weird because there's almost a situation where they kind of pass away twice in a way. It's weird to say, but they kind of pass away twice, because first they lose the memories and all the things that y'all had done together, and they don't really, connect to those things anymore. Then, and their personality often will change. Not necessarily like my pops didn't turn into like mean or nothing like that. I know a lot of people talk about that happens. He didn't really do that, but just not being an outgoing self sometimes, just depending on the person. And for my dad, he just kind of, just forgot a lot of stuff, and it was kind of rough. I ain't gonna lie to you, and it felt bad because my dad has always been there for me in such a major way. And then when you run into a situation where you really can't help somebody who really loves you and cared about you and was always there for you, it's kind of it really kind of sucks. And, there was a lot of different stuff that was going on in that situation, too, that made it to where I really couldn't do everything I wanted to do for my dad. But even if I could, I couldn't stop what was happening. So, and I know my dad would be like, "Hey, man, you can't do nothing about that, man. Keep it moving." That's what he would say. And he would tell me not to turn this video into a sad video and to find inspiration in it and to help others through your circumstance. So that's what I'm going to do here, because in honor of my dad, in honor of Melvin Ellis, that's my father, in honor of him, I'm going to talk about some of the things that he taught me that really resonated with me and that helped me throughout my life. Some of y'all have said in other videos in the comment section, "Man, you seem to have a really good dad, and I wish I would have had somebody like that to give me advice and give me information." And I thought about that a lot, and I thought, man, if I could just pass on some of these things that dad taught me to some of you guys, maybe it could help you out the way it did me. Now, for some of you who are younger, I'm not even going to front. When I was in my teenage years, especially, my dad taught me the same stuff, and I didn't listen most of the time. I'm just going to keep it real. Unfortunately, my dad taught me a lot of things that I didn't listen to when I was younger. Some of it I had to learn the hard way. For you guys, maybe you will listen to some of this stuff, and, it'll be a lot easier on you. If it is, like, this is one that's not in there, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Daddy always said, smart people learn from their own mistakes. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others, and stupid people don't learn at all. So, maybe you guys can get something from this, and I'm just going to go into it. One of the things that my dad taught me growing up was never stay at a party until the end. Now, this is something that I've been able to apply to multiple things in life. When you stay at a party to the end, that's usually when the bad things happen. Now, if you at a really hood party, or you at a really party that can be volatile, obviously we know at the end of the party that's when they start doing the shooting. But any type of situation that you're in, normally the bad things happen when you stay too long. Even in a relationship where you should have been out 2 years ago, but you keep trying to ride it out, now you get what I'm getting at, right? the relationship could turn crazy, and it usually does that towards the end. It could be a business investment where you should have pulled your money out a long time ago, but you kept it in there, being afraid to change, afraid to move, or just, not really thinking about it. And, at the end of this day, you end up holding the bag, losing everything. Even a Ponzi scheme is like that. It's the people that are in the scheme to the end who are the ones that get screwed. People who pull their money out quickly can actually even benefit off a Ponzi scheme. Ain't that crazy? My dad also taught me not to let everyone know where you live. I know it sounds crazy, and you've probably seen my dad has some little paranoia. Maybe so, but he always used to talk about, man, people bring their problems to your house. And that is so true. Like, as time goes on, you'll start recognizing that people will bring their problems to a new location. They may come to another location, but their problems come with them, and it turns that location into wherever they left. You get what I'm saying? When you let everybody know where you live, people start popping up unannounced. They start bringing their issues and their problems to your house, and then your crib becomes the hangout. Because what people like to do is they like to come to your house, eat your food, mess your house up, and then go back home and sleep in their warm bed. So letting everybody know where you live can become a negative really, really, really fast, because everybody is not your friend. Dad also told me that. But everybody is not your friend, and letting people know where you live can make you really vulnerable to a lot of different things. So that's something that, I learned over time, is not to just invite everybody in my house. This is something like metaphorically and literally, just letting everybody into your business, letting everybody into your heart, letting everybody know your every move and stuff like that. That's not really a good move a lot of times, because people will use it against you. And some people just, they're just not for you, even though they may seem like they are. A big thing my pops taught me is you don't have money until you don't owe anybody. A lot of people go around spending. My dad was never a person to be in debt. A lot of people go around spending, buying stuff you cannot afford. I've actually done that before myself. I'm not even going to front. And that was really a bad move. It took me years to bounce back, and hey, in some ways, you always find yourself trying to bounce back from stuff like that. So, but my dad never had a lot of debt. He never really accumulated debt. He always lived well below his means, because he understood the concept of, this is something people talk about all the time now, because financial fitness and stuff like that is more popular. But when my dad was raising me, it wasn't really, people didn't talk about entrepreneurship as much. This is like, this whole entrepreneurship and financial fitness movement is really like about 10 years old. You feel what I'm saying? It's not been around that long. And my dad was talking about that since I was like 4 or 5 years old. So don't buy stuff you can't afford, basically. If you owe people money, then you don't have money, because they can come get their money anytime. That's what my dad used to say. These folks can come ask you for their money, demand their money at any time. And now you went from zero, or went from whatever you had to negative. You get what I'm saying? So you don't have money until you don't owe anybody. My dad also used to say a lot of times that people want to be better than somebody else. That is facts. That's where most hate comes from. People trying to be better than somebody else. A lot of times they don't feel like they can be better than you, so they find things to make up about you. They find things to say about you. They over exaggerate a lot of different stuff, or they really try to pinpoint something. That's why you can't really worry about what people think about you, because they want to be better than somebody else. So even if you presented them with all the greatest things in the world, they would still try to find some way to discredit it, because they want to be better than somebody else. They don't want to admit that you're a great person and you got a lot going for you and that you're helping the world. They want to be better than somebody else. A lot of y'all have heard this saying probably, but this is something my dad used to say all the time. What you do in the dark comes to light. But not only is that a negative, also it's a positive. I know we always hear it on the negative side, like what you do in the dark comes to light. But sometimes you're doing great things in the dark and you think you're going unnoticed. You might be out here helping kids. You might be out here saving lives. You might be out here just being an all-around good person and it's going unnoticed. But what you do in the dark does come to light. People see it. The world does get to see who you really are at some point, even if it's not right away or not when you think. And sometimes the people see it and you don't even know they do because they're not saying anything. Sometimes the people who really will respond the best to what you're doing are not the people who really talk about it so much, but it inspires them. You know, it's kind of like that poem, Our Deepest Fear, where they talk about, you know, as you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. It's kind of like that too. I believe when you do great things or you try your best to do the best you can, it lets other people know that that's actually cool. It's actually cool to try hard. It's actually cool to help other people. It's actually cool to positively affect the world that you live in. I wanted to talk about this thing because my dad was talking about this like, you know, in the 90s, but it's still important right now. Never leave your drink and come back to it. This was before the roofies thing was really popping. This was before, you know, unfortunately the whole Bill Cosby thing had come out. This was before all of that. My pops was like, never leave your drink and come back to it. And here's the crazy thing. My dad told me that when I was like, for the first time, I think he told me that when I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. Maybe like 9, 10, maybe a little older, but something like that. I was still like a little kid. And I remember I had some juice, and we were at some kind of a get-together. I left my drink, and I came back, and my dad had it. He was holding it. And I was like, what's up with this, you know? And then he was like, yo, don't leave your drink and come back to it. You never know what'll happen. Never leave your drink and come back to it. I never even knew exactly why you shouldn't do that for years, but I always had a policy of never leaving my drink and coming back to it. Then, you know, I started seeing the reports of all the things that would happen to people who would leave their drink and come back to it. And it's unfortunate, but, you know, that's just something, you know, that just sometimes even when your parents tell you something and you don't know exactly why, or you get some information that sounds like it could be good and you don't know exactly why, you know, maybe you should take the advice anyway. And then when you figure out why, you go, oh man, I probably saved myself a couple times. The best sucker punch is in the stomach. Dead ass. My pops taught me that when I was really young. The best sucker punch is in the stomach. And that's basically telling you that when you don't see things coming or when you don't expect something, that's when it hits you the worst. So preparing yourself for different situations and also looking for something that other people are just thinking outside the box. Most of the time when people get in a fight, they try to put their hands up over their face. Duh. And that's why you can punch them right in the stomach. You know what I mean? Or if a person's not really expecting a fight to break out, even if they like kind of, you know, squared off with you, they would expect you to hit them in the face. You catch them in the stomach, a lot of times you're just in the fight right there. I'm just letting you know that a lot of times when things that you don't expect happen or things that you underestimate come and get you, that's when you get hit the worst. That's when you get hurt the worst. So really just kind of defending yourself and understanding the situation, reading a situation really well. I learned that from that concept because I've actually used that sucker punch in the stomach on a couple people and it worked like a charm. And I started realizing that, hey, you know, if you think something might happen, you need to protect your stomach. You need to protect the whole body. Don't just think one thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that you can use in all of life. Whenever you think something may happen, look at all the places that you could possibly be vulnerable and then start fortifying them before you even get into the confrontation. Because once the confrontation happens, it's too late. Keep throwing things at the wall until something sticks. My dad taught me this when he got me a sales job when I was 17 years old. I started selling cars. I know some of y'all are like, yo, but you're not even allowed to sell cars when you're 17 years old. Shut up. All right. My pops was unconventional. All right. And you can do it. Okay. I'm not saying you should do it because I mean, I'm sure that they're probably a little more strict on different laws or something like that now. I'm not saying you should do it, but you could do it. All right. Even if you don't have a license and stuff, you can still sell cars without. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Throw something at the wall and eventually something will stick. Just keep throwing things at the wall. Eventually something will stick. That's what my pops used to say. Keep throwing things at the wall and eventually something will stick. That's basically the law of averages. If you just keep trying stuff, eventually you will succeed in something. It's called the law of averages, not the theory. Eventually something has to work. Keep on trying. Keep on working at it. I've been able to succeed at multiple things with less talent, less ability than other people by the fact that I just consistently persevere. I don't stop. That's one of the best things I got going for me. That's something that I directly learned from my dad in a million different ways. But that's just a saying that I could tie to it. Definitely just continue, even if it doesn't seem like it makes 100% sense. Keep throwing things at the wall. If you can't really figure out exactly what you want to do, just keep trying stuff. You'd be surprised. People always tell you how they got rich, how they became successful, yada, yada, yada. And they try to act like it's some kind of blueprint to it. But the reality is they kept trying stuff and this thing worked. That's really what happens. My dad taught me that the truth is universal. See, you got your truth, his truth, her truth, their truth. Those are different perspectives on the truth. But the truth is universal. Water is wet. There's a sky. Maybe it's a different color to different people, but there's a sky. You're breathing air. These are things that are universal. And when you really want to look at truth, understand what's universal. What is it that's going to be the same thing to every single person? And then you can also use that to understand that other people have their version of the truth and what they think. That's not the truth, but that's their version of it and what they feel. Just like it's not always the truth because it's your version of it. Could somebody else see it differently? Could somebody else see it a different way than what you explained? And then that makes you be able to understand a lot of what other people are going through and how other people see the world. I really started looking at that more, and figuring out that, sometimes you might be telling a story and that's exactly the way you saw it. But it might be somebody else. They're not lying. They literally saw the thing totally different than you did because they were in it from a different perspective. But the truth is universal. And that's how you can say these are the baseline, the things that I know to be real and I know to be true. Everything else is my perspective, or someone else's perspective. And that's something we can talk about or something we can negotiate or something we can both agree to disagree on. The truth is universal. So if it's not universal, if it's not something that everybody would have to agree on or could be seen as just this is solid, then you got to understand that there's going to be variations on any other kind of truth. Your truth, his truth, her truth, your friend's truth, whatever the heck. There's going to be variations. All right, hopefully I was able to help you out with some of the things that my pops taught me. Man, if you got something that your parent taught you, whether it's your dad, your mom, your grandma, whatever, whoever was just in your life like that, if you got something that they taught you, put it in the comment section. I want to see, just kind of some of the things you guys have learned along the way. Once again, it's your man, ChazzEllis. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with somebody else. Peace.